My name is Joanne. I am 52-year-old. They say love is the sweetest gift a heart can carry. But for me, love turned into the heaviest burden I've ever known. I remember the day I realized it, standing in my own kitchen, surrounded by the laughter of my family, and yet feeling like the loneliest woman in the world. My hands trembled, my chest felt hollow, and the voice inside me whispered, "This is not love anymore. This is slavery." I know those words sound harsh, perhaps even shocking. After all, I was the woman who once believed in fairy tales, who thought love could cure every wound and conquer every storm. I was the one who gave everything, my youth, my dreams, my voice, in the name of love. And still, here I stand, confessing that love crushed me instead of lifting me. Tonight, I will tell you my truth. A truth I've hidden for decades behind smiles, warm dinners, and carefully pressed clothes. A truth about the kind of love no one warns you about. The kind that starts with flowers and ends with silence. The kind that takes more than it gives. The kind that makes you question your very existence. So listen closely, my child, for this is not just a story. It is a confession, and perhaps a warning. I was born into a modest family. My father worked long days with calloused hands, and my mother carried the weight of the household with quiet endurance. From them, I learned early what it meant to work hard, to endure, to keep moving even when your back ached and your heart longed for rest. Like many young girls, I dreamed of love. Not the kind of love in fairy books, but a steady, strong love, a partner to share burdens with, a home built on mutual respect and tenderness. When I met him, I believed I had found that dream. He had a smile that charmed everyone, a voice that carried conviction, and eyes that promised security. I was swept away by his confidence and his vision of a future we could build together. In those early years, I devoted myself completely. When he struggled at work, I worked harder to stretch our meager income. I cooked, cleaned, and cared for our growing family, often putting my own needs last. If he wanted to move to another town for better opportunities, I packed up without complaint. If he needed late nights for work, I kept the children quiet and the house in order so he could focus. Slowly, I tucked my own dreams into the corners of my mind. I had wanted to study further, to become a teacher, perhaps even to write stories of my own. But I told myself, there will be time later. Later never came. Every sacrifice felt like proof of my love. When I was tired, I reminded myself, this is what good wives do. When I was overlooked, I whispered, this is what mothers endure. I told myself that the reward would come, that love, loyalty, and patience would one day return to me in kind. But as the years went on, I began to notice the imbalance. He grew into his ambitions, while mine faded into silence. He thrived, while I simply survived. And though I did not want to admit it then, I was already carrying the early weight of a love that took far more than it gave. The betrayal in my story did not come suddenly, like lightning in a storm. It came quietly, like water dripping on stone, wearing me down little by little. At first, it was the forgotten anniversaries. Then the dismissive comments. "Why do you worry about such little things?" he would say when I asked for appreciation. "Don't be silly," he would laugh whenever I spoke of my own dreams. The children, too, grew accustomed to the rhythm of a house where their father's voice carried weight, while mine blended into the background. They saw me as the hands that cooked their meals, the arms that tucked them in, the presence that solved their problems, but never the person who might have struggles of her own. The true wound came the year I fell ill. I was weak, my body tired, my spirit fragile. For the first time, I needed care instead of giving it. I needed him. I thought surely, after all my years of sacrifice, he would show me tenderness. But what I found instead was irritation. He sighed when I asked for help. He muttered words like burden under his breath when he thought I couldn't hear. The betrayal was not in his absence, but in his presence. To be looked at not as a partner, but as a weight, that was the deepest cut of all. I had given him everything. My youth, my body, my dreams, my devotion. And when I finally needed love the most, I discovered there was none left for me. My breaking point came on a night that should have been filled with joy. It was my birthday. All day I moved through the house with a quiet hope. Perhaps they had planned something small, a cake, a card, even a kind word. I did not need grand gestures. I only wanted to feel seen. Dinner came and went. The children chatted about their lives. He ate silently at the head of the table. No one said a word. When the dishes were cleared, I excused myself and walked into the bathroom. There, under the dim light, I stared into the mirror at a woman I barely recognized. Her hands were rough, her hair streaked with gray, her back bent slightly from years of labor. But what struck me most was her eyes, dull, lifeless, begging for acknowledgement. Tears blurred my vision as I whispered to that reflection, "Do they even see you anymore?" That was the climax of my story. Not a fight, not a scream, but a silence so loud it crushed my soul. In that moment, I understood the truth I had avoided for so long. Love that erases you is not love. Love that demands everything and gives nothing is not devotion. It is bondage. And I had been chained for decades, smiling through my own erasure. In time, life delivered its own kind of justice. The children grew older and left the house. He, once so strong, so sure of himself, found his world shrinking. His friends drifted away. His career ended. And suddenly the man who had called me a burden discovered the loneliness of being truly alone. And who was left? The woman he had overlooked, dismissed, forgotten. Me. But by then, something had changed within me. I no longer sought his validation. I no longer begged to be seen. Instead, I had begun to see myself. I learned to read again, to write, to take long walks in the quiet mornings. I rediscovered the dreams I had tucked away decades before. Karma, you see, does not always arrive with thunder and lightning. Sometimes it comes in silence, by letting someone taste the emptiness they once forced on another. My lesson, my child, is this: never let love cost you your soul. Real love does not erase you. It does not silence you. It does not turn your devotion into chains. Real love is respect, kindness, and the freedom to grow. Anything less is not love, it is a burden. And now, as I sit here with the years behind me, I feel both sorrow and strength. Sorrow for the girl I once was, the girl who gave too much, who silenced her voice, who believed love was worth her erasure. But strength for the woman I have become, the woman who finally speaks her truth. If my story reaches even one soul who feels unseen, unheard, unappreciated, let this be your sign. Do not wait until love becomes a weight you can no longer carry. Do not wait until silence becomes your only companion. Speak. Stand. Demand to be cherished. Not for what you give, but for who you are. Because true love does not make you disappear. True love makes you shine. This, my dear, is my heartfelt confession, my warning, and perhaps my gift to you.